So there are reports that Jeremy Corbyn may be setting up a new political party. Sources close to Jeremy Corbyn have hinted that the former Labour leader could attempt to make life a little more difficult for Keir Starmer ahead of the upcoming general election, suggesting that he's ready to launch an entirely new political party. Insiders say the left-wing politician claimed that he's no longer weighing up a bid to become London mayor. Instead, the focus has now allegedly switched to earning seats in Westminster, and any new organisation he founds could be an option at the ballot boxes. According to a new report in the Daily Mail, this new party could be billed as an anti-war movement with the ability to appeal to voters on a national scale. Corbyn's sympathetic stance towards the people of Gaza is seen as a vote winner and one which can really harm Sir Keir. Now, I do want to stress these are unconfirmed reports. Jeremy Corbyn hasn't said anything, and for a while he did refuse to rule out whether he would run for mayor, which I guess is now dead in the water. I don't know. To be honest, I don't think this is likely that this is going to happen. Corbyn has always been pretty wedded to Labour, and my hunch is that Corbyn wouldn't want to split the left vote, but who knows? Now, I don't think a new Corbyn-led party is a good idea. First past the post is already biased against small parties, so I think that a new political party almost has zero hope. Look, it's hard enough to convince people to vote for small parties under this first past the post system. It's hard enough to convince people to vote for already established parties like the Greens. So why would people vote for the new one? Now, the Green Party took 30 years to get their first seat? So a new political party, which I think would actually have less name recognition than the Greens, possibly less resources, would be any more viable. Now, I do think people should back the Greens. I've given my reasons before, happy to give them again. But look, if this new Jeremy Corbyn party did the unimaginable and defies odds and becomes a viable option and polls at 10 or 15%, then I 100% would definitely back it. I would campaign for it. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. And if Jeremy Corbyn did start a new party, he is entirely justified. I'm so sick of Labour telling us that we owe them our vote. I'm sick and tired of taking our votes for granted, especially after years and years of telling the left to fuck off. They've kicked out some really good people inside the Labour Party, some really good trade unionists, some working class people in favour of corporate shills, in favour of consultants. I mean, we've got Peter fucking Mandelson, who is advising Keir Starmer. The guy is linked to Jeffrey Epstein, which I'm not making any accusations, but the idea that he didn't know what Jeffrey was up to, maybe that Peter Mandelson may have done some things himself, I don't know. But this is the sort of people who are inside the Labour Party, but you've got really good working class trade unionists who have been barred from standing in certain seats, who have been expelled or suspended. I fucking hate the Labour Party. Now, backing Labour no matter what, I don't think works as a strategy anymore. Now, Tony Blair won 3 general elections, sure, he did very well. But look where we are now. Where we are today, we are in a far worse position today than we are in 1997. Blair may have won 3 elections, but did no transformative change. A lot of the stuff he did in government has been reversed under the Tories. So actually, backing Labour, no matter how right-wing they get, isn't a tactical thing. I think is bad for politics in the long run. It signals that if we back Labour no matter what, then the only viable political parties, the only parties that are worth voting for is either a very right-wing Labour Party or a right-wing Tory party, and that's it. It completely narrows the political landscape and the political debates. Now, what we need is a UKIP or the left strategy. So who was the most successful politician in British politics in the last 20 years? I would say Nigel Farage, and that is without winning a single Westminster seat. He got his Brexit. He's managed to move the Tories to the right. He's still got political parties that, all right, he's not leading, but essentially espouse his kind of politics, like Reform. And Reform are successfully splitting the right-wing vote. We should be splitting the Labour vote, not trying to secure it, because at the end of the day, Labour are going to form the next government, but they're looking like they're going to win a huge majority, and I think that would be a really bad outcome. I think obviously the Tories winning is a bad outcome. I think a Tories winning a single seat is a bad outcome, but I also think that Labour winning a majority is a bad outcome. The best scenario we can hope for is a Labour minority, and honestly, it's the only leverage we have. For a while, we tried to reform the Labour Party from inside. We tried to stay and fight, but that is no longer viable. You're getting kicked out left, right and centre. So the only thing you can do now is to attack Labour externally. So I think voting third party is the tactical vote. You want to make Labour try and fight for your votes rather than signal to them it doesn't matter how un-Labour they are. It doesn't matter how many times they shit on workers and shit on the trade union movement. It doesn't matter how much Keir Starmer wants to support Israel in their genocide against the Palestinians. If you're going to turn around and vote for them anyway, there is no pressure for them to change. Now, when I say you should vote third party, me personally, I think only the Greens are viable because they are the only party of the left I can see that have a shot of winning more seats. Now, Bristol, a poll shows that Carla Denyer, who's the co-leader of the Green Party, who will be standing in that constituency, will take the seat off of Thangan Debonair, who to me is a terrible Labour candidate. We should be backing the Greens there and in many other places. If there was a new Jeremy Corbyn-led party, the danger is that you might siphon votes away from the Greens to this new political party, because there'll be people who are disaffected with the Labour Party, big Corbyn supporters, but they might not necessarily like the Greens, but they might have voted for the Greens if there wasn't a Corbyn-led party. That could mean, let's say Jeremy Corbyn's party stands in Bristol, that could lead another Labour victory and taking away votes from the Greens. I think Jeremy Corbyn should contest in Islington North. He deserves to represent them again. He's represented the constituency for 40 years. I think he should win it over some Labour establishment hack who doesn't give a shit about the people of Islington North. And he actually has a shot of winning that seat. Well, first, because obviously he's got name recognition, but the local community love him. They love Jeremy Corbyn. I think it will be a far sweeter victory if Jeremy Corbyn retains his seat as an independent in Islington North than any other victory. Now, despite Jeremy Corbyn being popular in Islington North, I don't know how popular he is nationwide. If you think about it, after so many smears and attacks, Corbyn's name, at best, is controversial. At worst, is toxic. And I do think that some people on the left may overestimate Corbyn's popularity. Those that know Jeremy Corbyn the most, or the best, know he's a good guy. He's got great politics. He's a decent human being. But for those, the majority of voters who don't really engage in politics day to day, they rely on sound bites and essentially the media to tell you who's what or what this person's like. Let's be honest, Jeremy Corbyn isn't all that popular. So I actually don't know how good this will be for socialism and the left-wing movement to have a Corbyn party. I think when it comes to left-wing movements, I think we're at our best when we talk about single issues, when we campaign on single issues, rather than setting up another political party. There are so many smaller left-wing parties, and it seems like there's a new political party every other week where, unless you're on Twitter, nobody even knows about. I don't think that is where we're at our strongest. I think we should be out there campaigning for single issues. I look at America, for example, and I forget the actual state, but it was a red state. It was a Trump state. And yet the local community and the local movements fought and won a $15 minimum wage. Now, most political pundits, the way they see politics, they say it as a game, as a chessboard. They think, wow, because this seat is conservative or this state is Republican, that means it only has room for their kind of politics and right-wing politics, when that's not true. When you look at polling data, the majority of the people support left-wing political positions, but that doesn't necessarily translate to supporting X political party. I mean, most people support Jeremy Corbyn's politics over Keir Starmer's, right? But Keir Starmer electorally is obviously more successful than Jeremy Corbyn. So I do think that our energy should be fought in policy positions. And that doesn't matter where you do it, because it's the same across the board. Regardless of whether you're in a safe Tory seat or if you're in a safe Labour seat, climate change is still an important issue. Wages are still an important issue. Bills, the cost of living, they're still important wherever you are. And I think that is where we should be focusing our efforts. And it was really disappointing to see that Enough is Enough, which is a campaign which we had some good people like Mick Lynch involved with, that should have taken off. And that's where energy should be, rather than just focusing so much on electoral politics. But to pivot back to electoral politics, where the left should be, I think it should be the Green Party. I don't think we should be looking at new parties. I don't know if that's going to be particularly a good strategy. But mind you, I'll definitely enjoy the centrist melts losing their fucking minds over this. I mean, they hate Jeremy Corbyn. They can't stop talking about him. They hate someone who stands up for the Palestinians. They hate someone who actually supports good policy that the majority of people of this country support. So definitely looking forward to a Corbyn derangement syndrome 2.0 if this party does go ahead. But being honest, I don't think it's necessarily a good strategy. I don't think it's going to get the things we want to get. But if he does do this, I will say good for him, and I really hope it's successful.